Thank you for calling on me. I don't have children yet, but within the next 2 years I will. And I've heard you talk a lot about child rearing. And I am uncertain about how to discern between the fundamentals that you would teach a small child and everything that I've learned from you on allowing them to be powerful creators. I mean, how would I teach a young child to use that they have to use a knife and fork, or they should use a knife and fork to eat in those sort of fundamentals? I'm having trouble figuring out where that boundary is, or where I can say, no, you need to do it this way at this age.
Well, fortunately, your children come forth with such passion and interest in becoming part of this time-space reality and the life that it holds for them, that they will find their own way 1,000 to 1 more than you will be teaching them. They will come with the vibrational preparation to attract to them whatever they need to make their way. And for the most part, parents are more hindering influences than anything. Because you stand, for the most part, ready to warn them about the trouble, where they come eager for the experience. Most of what parents are doing in their child rearing is preparing the child to integrate into society. And mostly what we're encouraging is that there will be a natural integration, and don't try too hard to belong. Children are coming forth in greater numbers and in greater dynamics with a strong intensity of wanting to dilute this stream that is here in this physical fashion. In other words, they are more rebellious. They are more eager to live their own way. They are less ready to really follow the ways that have been so specifically laid out before them. So you don't have to worry about your children. Your children will come cable ready and and remembering who they are. And yes, there will certainly be an integration into this time-space reality, and they will learn by watching. But if we were physically focused and we were expressing for children, we would be wanting to demonstrate that even as adults, we have found a way to still stay in touch with guidance, because they'll still be there. And we would be looking for ways to demonstrate that we are still having fun in this physical experience, that the physical experience, even when you've moved into adulthood, can still be fun. Mm-hmm. Jerry and Esther are in a park in Malibu, and they are taking a walk, and a little girl who is about 5 or 6 years old is riding her bicycle up and down past them, and she is squeaking on her little horn. It goes. And so when she came by, Esther pinched her nose and went back, making almost the exact sound that the little girl was making. The little girl looked at Esther. She could not quite understand how she could have heard what she's heard, and then Esther did it again. And then she pinched her own nose, and she said, "Mine does not work." And so now they're days in the park, and they have crossed one another's path, and every time they do, they both pinch their noses and make the sound. And so now Esther has decided that she's going to be this little girl's friend, not because this little girl needs a friend, but because Esther wants a friend just like her. And so they are both looking for opportunities, or sort of watching for each other, waiting for opportunities to rendezvous, exchanging toys. The little girl says, "Do you sell toys?" And Esther said, "No, I play with toys. And when I find someone that might like to play with them too, I share them with them." And so what we're getting at is this little girl, she is sort of warmed up to Esther now, but at first she did not know what she was dealing with. Because it's hard to sort of understand that there is an adult that is willing to be just utterly silly for no reason whatsoever other than to be utterly silly, you see. And we think that that sort of thing is the best thing that you could do with children. Let them know that you are still connected to source energy, and that you are still spontaneous and doing what you feel like doing. Don't try to teach them these restrictive boundaries for the sake of not upsetting someone. Instead, encourage a continuation of the free spirit that is guided from broader perspective. Can you imagine if your intention for parenting only followed these brief guidelines. I understand that this child is an extension of source energy. And I understand that this child remembers that even more clearly than I myself remember it. And I understand that this child is experiencing contrast which are giving birth to his individual desires, and that Source is so in agreement and so in concert and so on this that this child is in wonderful hands. And anything that I can do as a friend or a stranger or a parent that keeps this child as closely as possible in connection with his good-feeling self, then to that degree I have benefited this child. In other words, what could be of greater value than to assist someone in staying closely connected to their supreme guidance that knows everything they've come from, everything that's surrounding them, and even better, everything they're moving to.